Language that cares. How does language used by professionals make young people feel? Here is what young people who are in or leaving care across Devon and Torbay have to say.
Language that cares is staying conscious of the fact you're in charge of someone's life, so communicating to that person in a way they can understand. It's not seeing them as a case file, but seeing them as a young man or woman. We're not just a care experienced person, but someone who has a life beyond a label. Language that cares means having an individual approach to every single person you meet. I'm not just a care experienced person, I'm a father with ambition to be a good role model for my daughter. The language the people that support us use has to change to be caring and make us feel like people rather than a case. Acronyms also need to be used less or not at all. There's simply too many for us to know, especially when we have involvement from a variety of services. Sometimes the same acronym can have different meanings. Language needs to be simple, caring, and effective. If you speak to us in a way we don't understand, how can we help you advocate for us? How can our meetings truly represent how we feel and what we want? How can our voice be first?
Now we are going to look at how certain words make our young people feel. Starting with the word contact.
I think for a lot of young people and for a lot of acronyms, it's individual to the young person, and I believe that should be taken into account more. For example, one young person might be very excited to see a family member and want to see their family. In that case, they might want it to be called family time. But another young person might not be as excited but still want to have that contact with them. So they might want it to be called contact with family or meeting with family. The word contact just makes me think of, a contact on your phone or contact between you and a table when your hand touches it. It doesn't seem like something that you'd have with, family members. But I definitely think it should be down to the young person and what they want to call that meeting between them and their family.
That does sound like formal and a bit posh. So what can we call it a get together with birth family, or even cut the birth family out and say that a get together or a visit from birth family?
Don't really like that word because you could be having contact with anyone. Just call it a meet up with family or something.
Contact, even then, sounds outdated as well because we've used the term for so long and it's just become part of our vocabulary. It should be family time or fun times with those closest to you. It makes it sound more interesting. It intrigues the young person.
I like the word family time instead of contact. Because I'm actually seeing my family and I'm not contacting somebody like just a friend or something. It's actually part of my family.
If it's an arranged thing, then yeah. But if I'm not just going out, I'll be like, at least I meet my mum when I'm going out. Because that bit's not contact, it's not planned or anything. If it is if it's like a weekly thing, like you meet your mum or your dad or whatever on a weekly basis, same time, same place, then it is kind of contact.
Tell my friends I've got contact. That doesn't bother me.
The next word we asked about was respite.
Don't really like it. It's why have they got to have so many different words for people like us? Call it like a getaway or something.
I would want to change that because it would be formal. It's not that nice, I guess. I would either call it with holiday with such and such, or going to stay with such and such, or having a break.
To hear the word respite, it's like we're being moved on to another person temporarily while the foster carer gets their luxury time. It shouldn't be like that. Respite should be kind of like vacation time. The way that I would like to hear it would be, I'm going to have some time to myself. I'm going to have some time away from my foster carer.
If you're explaining it to someone that isn't in care, then it's I'm going to live with someone for the weekend while my carers go away or something like that. Anyone else in care, anyone that knows it, it is respite.
Could you call it you'll go into, if it's the same respite carer, you'll go into this person's house?
The first time you hear it, you would have no clue what it is. I want to say vacation or holiday, but no, that's definitely not the correct terms. Something around that, I guess.
How do young people feel about the word placement?
I hate that word. It's it makes us sound like we don't belong there. It's What, are we just going to stay there for like 2 days and then move on to the next one? So keep it as one word, just home, all it needs to be.
It makes me feel like I don't belong there because home is where you make it, not where people say it is. If you've been in a placement for a certain amount of time, but like I've been in a placement for like 8 years, I've called that home.
It upsets me when I hear social workers referring to where we live as a placement. When we're living there, it should be considered our home. It is our home.
For a young child in foster care, we have to make it a home. Doesn't matter who's looking after us or where we are or anything like that. It's somewhere we live. It's somewhere that we are going to know. And for it to be labelled as placement, it's not. It's home.
And how do young people feel about the phrase care leaver?
Makes it sound like you're properly leaving care, like you're properly it's like properly moving out sort of thing. Like you have to call it moving out or something.
It's just like leaving home or moving out, really.
Although the wording of care leaver might not be nice to some people and they don't want to associate with it, it can be useful to put down on things like UCAS, as it can mean you can get additional support to help you through university, whether that be additional funding or just general support.
Different,
but not any different, but a little bit different.
Alienation.
Yeah.
That's the word. Makes you
makes you feel a bit different, because some people, if they're moving out from their like who they live with, they just feel like they're moving out and they're like going to live on their own.
Child leaver.
It just makes me sound like an alien. Oh, she's a care leaver. Oh.
How about care experience adult instead of care leaver?
That's worse.
Yeah.
That could be anyone though, realistically. You could be an adult and be a carer, but still care experience.
How does the acronym LAC, which stands for Looked After Child, make you feel?
The acronym LAC makes me angry, and I think it's damaging to young people, and I believe that it shouldn't be used.
The next terms that we asked about were children in care and foster child.
It's kind of offensive to me because I prefer to be called as my name, because we don't want to be constantly reminded that we're in care, because it's kind of packaging us. This person's in care, this person's not. It's not very fair. Just to be treated as a normal person like everyone else. It makes me feel little, like small. So it kind of belittles people.
And the final phrase we asked about was cared for.
Cared for can also be quite negative as well, because it can feel like to people that your independence is being taken away and put to someone else. I actually prefer in care than cared for.
We also asked how labels and language makes our young people feel.
Like I said, I don't like labels. Labels just, no, I'm a normal child.
Labels make me feel like I'm being categorised into certain bubbles. Everyone's the same, but it's not necessarily kind to label us.
We are not numbers, we are people.
And finally, some advice from our young people to help you out in future conversations.
Ask the person just before or whenever, see how they like to be spoken at. I like to have clear explanations and calm tone, but slowly spoken. Simple words, not big terms, because I won't ask for help if I don't understand. Think before you act or do. Everyone's different the way they communicate, so it's best to ask how they communicate before just assuming.
Thank you for listening.